Here we go. So I managed to finish 5 books last month, which I'm quite happy with because I'm right on track with my goal of finishing about a book a week. And also, I happened to read some pretty great books in January, so let's get into talking about them. So first up, I have here Wayfarer by Alexandra Bracken. This was the Booksplosion Book of the Month pick for January, which was sponsored by Disney Hyperion this month. And this is also the second book in the Wayfarer duology. It's the conclusion to the series. The general setup here is that we follow a teenage girl named Etta who discovers that she can travel through time. And not only can she travel through time, but her mother has hidden this very powerful object somewhere in the world at some point in time, and Etta is being blackmailed into finding it because she's the only one who might be able to understand her mother's clues. That's the basic setup for book 1. I did do a full spoiler-free review, so I'll link that below if you want to check it out and learn a little bit more about the first book in the series, because I can't really say much plot-wise about book 2. I don't want to spoil you. I can say that I enjoyed book 2 even more than book 1, and I really enjoyed book 1. I love the characters, and I'm just enthralled by this world here and like all the places we get to go and all the history and action and romance, and the writing is beautiful. Like, I loved Alexandra Bracken's other series, The Darkest Minds, but the writing in this duology is like next level. Though I did feel like the writing kind of slowed the pacing down a little bit at times. Like, even during action scenes there would be longer, more beautiful sentences that I would want to kind of linger with and absorb instead of being propelled through the story. But still, overall, this was a fantastic conclusion. Like, it just met this great balance of being satisfying, yet also leaving me wanting more. Like, not even necessarily with the same characters, like a spin-off, a prequel, a sequel. I would just love to see more of this world and this society of time travelers that Alexandra Bracken has created. If you're looking for a satisfying series with great characters and beautiful writing and time travel and romance and adventure, this series. You gotta check out this series. Next up, I have here The You I've Never Known by Ellen Hopkins. And I received this copy from the publisher Simon & Schuster, who I'm working with this month. This is the second book by Ellen Hopkins that I've read, and I've started to realize that her books are more about characters and kind of slice of life, but around these defining moments in people's lives. In this book, we follow a teenage girl named Ariel who is struggling with feelings for both a girl and a boy. This is further complicated by Ariel's father, who is very controlling and homophobic. There's also another plotline that is mentioned in the synopsis, but I don't want to give it away because it doesn't happen until later in the book, and I think it's better if you start it without knowing that. I read this book a while ago in a single sitting, and it still packs an emotional punch. Like, I don't know, maybe it was something about just the very end that really got me the most, because that's just where I had the most feelings, and that's all I'm gonna say about that because I don't want to spoil you. But yeah, after reading this book, I definitely want to read more by Ellen Hopkins. Like, with the first Ellen Hopkins book I read, Rumble, I enjoyed it, but I didn't love it because I didn't connect much to the main character, whereas with this book, even though Ariel's situation is super different from my own, I did feel like she was more relatable, and I felt more for her. And again, I don't want to get into spoilers, but I feel like there's a lot of important, relevant subjects going on in this book. I know Ellen Hopkins has a lot of books, and I'm pretty new to her, so if any of you guys have recommendations as to which Ellen Hopkins book I should pick up next, I would love that. Like, I feel like I'm much more on board with her different, like, storytelling structure and style. And I liked it. I want more. If you're looking for a standalone contemporary that's different, it has a different writing style, it's very poetic and beautiful, and it's very raw and real. These characters are in a tough situation. I recommend this. Or probably any Ellen Hopkins book, because this seems to be like her thing, but I really enjoyed this one, and if anything that I've said sounds interesting to you, you should give it a go. The next book I have here is The 100 Lies of Lizzy Lovett by Chelsea Sidoti. This is a debut novel, I believe it's a standalone, that focuses on the disappearance of this girl, Lizzy Lovett. Our main character is a girl named Hawthorne who went to school with Lizzy and becomes obsessed with the mystery of her disappearance. She's so determined to figure out what happened, she starts investigating Lizzy's disappearance on her own and kind of inserting herself into Lizzy's life. She takes up Lizzy's old job and she gets close to Lizzy's boyfriend. This was a very interesting book, mostly due to the main character Hawthorne, who is just unlike most YA characters I've been in the head of. Her personality and her voice shone through so much that she makes the book. But ultimately I had trouble connecting to her as a character. Some aspects of her life and her situation were relatable, like her feeling left out and her being curious about what happened to Lizzy, but a lot of the things that she thought and did were just things that I personally would never think or do. So it was hard to get on board with her, but I was still completely hooked into her narration and just fascinated by everything she was doing and what was happening here. I can't say a lot about the mystery because of spoilers. I had so many theories and they were all wrong, but the actual answer solution is one of my favorite parts of the book now, because it's what hit me the most emotionally. If you're looking for a book with humor and mystery and an interesting main character who is full of personality, you might want to check this one out. Then I have here History Is All You Left Me by Adam Silvera. I still have a lot of feelings about this book. This story opens on a boy named Griffin who is attending the funeral of his ex-boyfriend and first love, Theo. Even though Theo had moved to California and was dating someone new, Griffin still felt like they were endgame. They were gonna get back together down the line. But then Theo had to go and die, and now Griffin has to make sense of everything and go into a future without Theo. This book really got to me. It's told in two different timelines. The first timeline is the present day. It's when Griffin is attending Theo's funeral and trying to make sense of his life moving forward. And the other timeline is history. It's in the past. It's the start of Theo and Griffin's relationship, of them falling in love and then breaking up when he moves to California. Because we're dealing with love and loss and grief, and we have this dual timeline, this book is just primed to give you emotional whiplash. I'd be reading from the history timeline and cracking up because something really cute and funny was happening. And then I'd turn the page and I'd be back into the present and on the verge of tears. Aside from these two timelines that are just perfectly woven together to punch you right in the heart, the other thing that I loved about this book was just how real and raw and flawed the characters are. If you're looking for a book that will make you feel things, a book that will make you laugh on one page and then cry the next, you gotta check this one out. You gotta check this one out. Because that was my experience, and I don't often cry while reading books. But this one got me. This one got me. Alright, there you have it. Those are the books I finished in January, and that is gonna be it for this video today. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you have a great night, and I will have another video up soon, so I will see you then. Goodbye!